Here's our data set in Excel. Remember the URL to log into Excel Online, to be able to use Excel Online, is excel.cloud.microsoft, and then you would have to have an account with Microsoft that you use to access them online. All right, that being said, this is my data set, and I want to teach some average, SUMIFs, counties, and all of that. So I'm going to start with basically explaining why and how we use some of these formulas. So this is an introduction to formulas in Excel. I'm going to say, remember that we always use referencing when we're doing analysis. Referencing meaning we're calling the content of another cell. So here I'm going to start with the simplest of them all, which is sum. There are different ways to do sum, and here I'm going to be focusing on just showing us that we can do it in different cells and for different purposes. So here, let's say I want to find the sum of the average BMIs. Right here, let me zoom so that we can see. Wow. So let's make it this like 150. So yes, now we want to do a sum of this uh, average BMIs. I could just use, remember, every time you're using a formula, every time you're referencing, you start with the equality sign is equal to sum. So here you can see different sums, but we're just going to stick with sum of from here, that's from BH2 to H10, that is from cell H2 to H10, showing the sum of all of them. Okay, let me see, I got it. All right, so I found the sum. Let's say I want to find the sum of the average 8BA1C. I could also drag that same formula and it will find the sum. So easy. That's how to find the sum of any given range. I could find sum across, and I can pick sums. Let's give an instance. I want to find the sum of the average blood sugar level, the sum of these three, and I want to put it here. So I can say sum, and then I'll highlight where I want to find the sum. Really easy, right? What if what I want to find is not the sum, rather I want to find the what if I don't want to go across, I don't want to find the three, I want to find the sum of this and this, that is I want to jump. So I'll do is equal to sum, then I'll start picking with a comma, pick, comma, pick another one, comma, pick another one, comma, pick another one. I find their sum. So it is okay, or it is possible for you to decide to find the sum of something, and you just pick the cells depending on what you want. So that works for every other formula that you're going to be using. Remember, you need, if you summing different attributes and you're picking, you need to lock each one in with the comma sign, which I just demonstrated, which is all good. Now that's sum. Let's do average. Usually I wouldn't need the sum of their BMI. What I would be more interested in is the average of maybe the average blood glucose levels, the average of the BMIs, or the average of the HbA1c, right? So let's say is equal to average. Same thing, average. Remember, there are different averages, but we're only interested in the original average. That is direct average of this. Simple. Then I can drag this formula down here like we talked about. Now you can see a lot of decimal places. You you may need to learn that alongside so that you can always fix it. So I will fix that in the home menu where we see the decimal places. I could decrease decimals, right? I could add decimals. So usually I use a 2 decimal place, except otherwise, because that is usually the current the decimal place for money, which as a data analyst you tend to operate with a lot of times. All right, so we've done average, we've done sum. There are a lot of other formulas that follows exactly the same procedure. However, let's move into average if and sum if. Average ifs, sum ifs. So let's move on. So I want to do sum ifs, sum if, and then sum ifs. So in this case, let's start with sum if. If the person is we know the agendas, right? Let's find the sum of all the sum of the average blood glucose level of males. So sum the average blood glucose level if the person is a male. Remember, the condition is 1. So the difference between sum if and sum ifs is that the condition we're basing our sum on has to be 1 for sum if. Once the condition becomes multiple, it becomes we have to use sum ifs. For instance, I want to find the sum of the average blood glucose level of males. Just one condition, if they are males. What if I want to find the average blood glucose level of all males with a heart disease? Now, the condition has become 2. What if I want to find the average blood glucose level of all males, that's if they're males, if they have a heart condition, and if they're hypertensive? You're getting my point. Now we have to use the ifs statement, meaning it is more than 1. So let's go ahead and start with the sum if. So how to find the sum. So here I will say sum if, and then this is the syntax for the formula. I'll look for the range where it is either male or female. I'll look for the criteria. That is, what is my criteria? My criteria in this case is male. Then the sum range where the numbers I want to add together are. So let's say the range is where the gender is. What is my term or the criteria? The criteria is if the person is male. And then where is the sum range? Sum range is right here, average blood glucose level, right? That's the sum if they are male, right? What if they are females? I could do exactly the same thing. Is equal to sum if, sum if, what's the range? Is the gender. They have to be females. Female. And then the average blood glucose level. You can see. So that is sum if. Now let's move to the sum ifs where gender and diabetic for males. We're going to start with males. Is equals to sum ifs in this range. In this case, when you're dealing with more than one condition, that is, you're using the sum ifs, the syntax changes. It starts with where the numbers are, then with all the conditions. Since it can be a bit open-ended, that is, you have many options. You can add as many conditions as you want. So in this case, I'll start with where the numbers are. This is where the numbers are. And then the first criteria range is where the genders are. Then I choose my criteria, which is male. And then that are diabetic, where diabetes diagnosis is, and I choose the yes. Why? Because yes is where we indicate if the person is diabetic or not. So this is the sum of the average blood glucose level of all the males that are diabetic. Let's try for females that are diabetic is equals to sum ifs. This is the average blood glucose level range, and then I'll go to the gender range and put female, and then I look at what's the second condition, diabetic. So I look at diabetes diagnosis, and then I choose yes. All right, you see, so that's how you use the sum if and the sum ifs. Now let's talk of average if, and then average ifs. So here I'm going to look at this data set, and I'm going to say is equal to, of course, average if. Let's look at the average BMI in this case. So I'm going to say is equals to, that's if the person is male, is equal to average if, average of the BMI of all the males. So average if, I'll go to where the gender is, if the person is male, and where is the BMI? Right here. So the average BMI of the males is 30.16. Like I said, we could always work with that and reduce the decimal places. All right. So what about the females? So here I'll say average if, there's the gender where I'm going to lock that in and say if the person is female, and then where is the BMI? Good. So average BMI for females is standing at 26.2. Now let's do the same thing. We're looking at BMIs if they are diabetic, or BMI, what is it more related to? Yeah, let's just say if they're diabetic. So in this case, males and who are diabetic, so is equal to average ifs. Remember, I'm going to start with where the numbers are if we're using ifs. So I'm going to start from here where the numbers are. Then gender, remember, it has to be a male. And then for the diabetes condition, it has to be a yes. Good. So for all males that are diabetic, the average BMI is 30.73. Let's do the same for females. Is equals to average ifs. We'll start with where the numbers are, and then the gender. We said the person has to be female, and then the person has to be diabetic, so it has to be yes for the D column. All right, we're good to go. There's something we may be missing in these formulas, which is, you notice that I'm writing male, I'm having to write male, female. Can we automate that such that we do not have to like start typing them into that quotation, something like this? We don't have to start typing the female into a quotation. So yes, we can change that. We can put male, female, and then let's try the average ifs again without having to do the quotation. So here I'm going to say is equals to average ifs. Then I'll start with the BMI, which is what we're looking for, and then I'll say if the gender is male. This time I won't write my male. I have it right here. If the person is male, and if the diabetic condition is yes. Same thing. This time I didn't have to type it. I just needed to make sure that there's somewhere I can reference my male. If I pull this one down, it will reference the female. You can see that this is exactly the same figure as this, which means it is referencing correctly because my female is in K9, cell K9 here. So if you have any questions, please drop it in the comment section and I will attend to it. See you in the next videos where we're going to be talking about more formulas. Bye bye.